We're with Stephen Fournier, closed meeting investigator. Mr. Fournier, council just reviewed your recommendations and your report. How many times have you investigated this council in this term?
Oh, goodness.
Isn't this the third or fourth?
It would be. There were 3 investigations, I believe, in 2013, one this year, and I think 1 or 2 between 2008 and 2011. I can't remember. Because
it seemed like council, they were making like this was the first time that this had happened, but this isn't the first time your services were needed this term alone.
That's correct. But I think I think we need to understand that the circumstances for which my services were called upon varied each time. It's not the same set of reasons.
But each one was about a violation involving an in-camera meeting. In other words, in-camera meetings were entered inappropriately.
If we look at, I'll go back to 2013.
Okay.
Okay? And there were, as I said, 3 reports. 2 of them dealt, in the end, what we found was that council conducted itself properly. However, they could have and should provide more information within the resolution about the general nature of the business being discussed. That was the finding. And that's not uncommon. Many municipalities experience that one, okay, and have trouble with that at times. The city is trying to move forward with that. The 3rd report was dealt with the Committee of Adjustment, which became a very fascinating and highly legal issue from the point of view, because what I found was communities in Ontario were of 2 minds. It was like a split personality, 2 different ways of approaching it. And in the end, what we found was the city was, in fact, lawfully conducting its Committee of Adjustment meetings when it came time to reserve
But
a decision.
there was also the instance of the meeting involving Councillor Revet.
That goes back to, I think, the first one back, and that I think was 2012.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, and that in that particular instance, I can't remember.
Well, they basically were attacking him. He walked into a meeting and they almost ambushed him.
I think at that point,
well, I don't mean to put you on the spot that way for details.
In this particular instance, I'd have to go back and have a look at the report, to be honest with you, okay? I'd feel much more comfortable doing that.
So what does the public have as an option? Like in this case, there clearly seemed to be a prejudice against parties that were in the meeting by members of the committee. They decided to go in camera just to get 1 or 2 people out of the room without realizing that everybody had to leave the room that wasn't a part of the presentation or the committee.
I have to be very, very clear about something here from the get-go.
Sure.
I do not deal with, in my report, with the conduct or behavior of individuals, and I will not comment on that. I'm going to be absolutely clear. Well, the question was more what the repercussion is, or what can the public do? What I'll be clear about, Jamie, is the procedure, okay, and process. Okay, and in that particular instance tonight, there is corrective action necessary to get the right procedure in place.
You mentioned in the meeting tonight also that I think it was Councillor Gardner that was saying, well, what could happen if they keep repeating their behavior? And you said there would be legal potential.
Ultimately, if someone wanted to take the matter to a court of law for a determination, they probably could if a party wanted to. Because that's how, if you go, and I encourage you, go to the Ombudsman site and have a look at some of the decisions that are made. And often in the reports, the case law is recited clearly. Okay, the law. So the business of, the contesting of how municipalities conduct its business is not new.
Right.
Even by virtue of the changes that came in 2008.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure it was a difficult challenge, as it must be with all of these personalities and issues.
My pleasure.
All right, have a good trip back.
Okay.